Welcome back to the Gotham Sports Machine. I'm your host, Jack Healey, joined by my co-host, Mark Healey. We're going to be talking some Knicks basketball and some Giants football today after a devastating and atrocious loss in the Garden last night. I mean, how are we feeling after that?
It was brutal, Jack. It was like with all the teams we root for, we don't ever take anything for granted, right? Nothing is easy. You even said it in the second, I think it was the second quarter, but even before the half. They had a couple of spurts here and there. And like the Knicks, for three quarters, the Knicks looked they were in control. They were playing well. Everybody was getting involved. You even made the comment during the course of the game, this is how they play when they get everyone involved. And all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, it was like Julius Randle 2.0 all over again. Guys just terrible shots, not where's Cat? Where's the ball movement? It was so bad. And I'll let you get into the you know all the specificities, but it was like it was a nightmare. And I you know obviously now you've let the Hawks get in your head, and now it's like Trey Young 2.0 with CJ McCollum. And I mean, he was great. You can't take anything away from him. I mean, they basically let him take over the game. So, like they're going to have to respond right away in game three, or, this is going to be one of the worst, you know, disasters in Knicks history.
I mean, you couldn't have said it better. It was you go from completely, I mean, not completely dominating game. That was also why this got so dicey, was
Right.
because that you let them hang around. Mike Brown, every time they would get a commanding lead, he would put in these experimental lineups that he's never used before without Cat and Brunson. And it's just like, what are we doing? No lineup this year without Calvin Brunson has ever been good. You're taking your two best players off the floor. You leave the Hawks and have nobody to really like. They obviously have talented players, but as far as like basing their defense around, they have nobody to worry about. They don't have to worry about Cat in the paint, and they don't have to worry about Brunson with the ball. So all they in their minds just attack, 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 attack everybody, and that clearly worked because nobody. Shaman had no points off the bench. Deuce had no points off the bench. Alvarado had no points off the bench. Like you get no bench production. Where are we going with this? Like, why? How are we expecting to beat a team more like drastically worse than us when their bozos are outplaying our good players? Mikal Bridges, as much as I love to defend him, and as much as he was a big part of game one, even though he didn't light up the stat sheet, game two, he just completely disappeared. He had two or three huge shots, including the
Early,
game
right?
winner that he shouldn't have even
Oh,
taken. Even I mean, time's running out. There's not many great looks he could have gotten,
right.
but I mean, fading away in the corner with two guys on you, the likely he's hitting that shot, and everybody's freaking out. Oh, Mike Brown should call timeout. He should call timeout. He didn't have a timeout. The broadcast was wrong.
Right.
So as
Right. He
much
didn't
as you
have
want
it
to like,
because
as
he
much as you
called
want
that
to
other
bash it,
ridiculous. He called that other
yeah, but
ridiculous
yeah,
timeout
with
with
two two
what
forty left,
what
he
made no
was
sense. It made no sense in the moment. It
zero
made
sense. We had
no
like
sense.
we're driving down the court. Brunson's like halfway to the hoop, and he just decides to randomly call timeout.
It just and look, and you and I love Jalen Brunson. We love the guy, right? But look, he didn't get it done in the fourth quarter. I mean, he just did not get it done. He missed shots. He turned the ball over. OG missing foul shots. And
And
you know me, I go
he stuck
crazy.
there.
The
He
guy
gave him
misses a
up the
foul shot.
year.
You got to make your foul shots. How many foul shots did they miss in that game last night?
Especially in the
Quite a
fourth quarter. I
few.
mean, fourth quarter they completely shut down, and Mike Brown did them no favors by like it seems like every time they get into crunch time, it's like they forget they have an All NBA center. It's like they forget they have a clear mismatch on almost any other player in the NBA with Carl Anthony Towns. Just give him the ball, and if they gave him the ball, he took 5, 8 shots, and he was the one who lost them the game. It's a different story.
Right.
But
Right.
relying on the same thing you always rely on, which is Brunson dribbling the air out of the ball in isolation and taking really tough shots, like
And look,
it's
is
just
it on Brunson? I mean,
a little bit, but not really. Like they threw it all on him again. Like Mike Brown has to do a better job with his rotations. He has to do a better job with his timeouts, and he has to really sharpen up basically everything all around. I mean, especially the defense and the defensive adjustments on McCollum. You can't let him go for over 25 again. You just can't.
I still don't know how you lose that game on your home court. I don't understand it. You're up 14 now, fine. It's a second quarter. You're up 14. But what was it? 2 minutes to go, 2:30 to go, and they had a 9-point lead on your home court, and you lose that lead, and you lose the way you lost. I mean, look, everybody killed Tibbs. Everybody killed Tibbs. Oh, this and that, and blah blah blah. And you had to get rid of him because you can't go to the next level. Well, look, if game two is any indication, I'm not sure Mike Brown is the guy to take him to the next level. Billy
Well,
Donovan just stepped
I
down.
think it's early. I think it's early.
Well, yeah, it's early. It's early, but that game
Let's
was
not act like Tibbs won every single playoff game by some
no.
dominant fashion. He
You're
had
right.
his. He literally last year was one of the worst collapses in Knicks history. Aaron Nesmith hitting 9 shots in a row in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Like that collapse is a lot more notable and a lot worse than like this. But this is like a little sprinkle of that. This is a
Yep,
little
I know.
like Mike Brown. He's supposed to be the guy to clean that up and the guy to be have us ready for the fourth quarter
Right.
because we're better rested and we're sharing the rock more. But this can't happen, especially when you were playing fantastic defense again on their top 2 players. Jalen Johnson and Alexander Walker really Jalen Johnson had a little stretch towards the end of the game, but he got some free shots, and all of a sudden, like they have done nothing effective outside of CJ McCollum, and Jonathan Kuminga came off the bench and he had some good minutes. But
Now, look,
they,
defensively, the Hawks did a good job. I mean, they were harassing, them on the perimeter all night. It was very hard for the for Brunson, for Josh Hart, for OG, for everybody, anybody. But again, why aren't you trying to pound the ball in the fourth, as you said, to your All NBA center? Like, where did that go in the fourth quarter?
the Knicks were making it easy. It's like
Ugh,
there was no urgency. Brunson comes out of the game and nobody wants to dribble into the paint. Nobody wants to take it to the rack. Everybody's all, oh, let me take 2 dribbles and pass it, 2 dribbles and pass it,
ugh,
and not even look at the hoop. Even OG was like that at times.
yeah,
It's like when you're the guy on the court and you're the best player on the court, we need you to take over. We can't have you being pass happy and then don't be on the court. Then Mike Brown's got to take you out if you think you've played too much and this is just your oh, let me sit around and do nothing minutes but play defense. We don't pay you $200 million for that. Like
it was just such a brutal, brutal loss. And with the Mets, falling apart, we really needed a win last night. We needed a Knicks win, not just to go up 2-0.
it wasn't. We just needed a win. We didn't need a tragic loss. If they just
No,
lost and the Hawks lit them up and didn't miss from 3,
right,
like a game like that was gonna happen.
right.
That's just this NBA. But to lose like that at home when the Hawks really didn't have outside of McCollum any major threats on offense. Yeah, McCollum and Kuminga, 2 guys that the Knicks should have more than enough talent to handle.
No, no question, no question. And again, I love Deuce. Why was he
he
playing
was
point guard when he came in? Like,
well. It's not even he just looked terrible.
yeah, he
I
did.
mean, it was he clearly isn't fully back yet.
Right.
He missed a lot of time.
Yep.
And then he went to Alvarado, and then he took Clarkson out of the rotation towards the end, which made zero sense. Clarkson was the only like out of Clarkson, Alvarado, Shamet, and Deuce. Clarkson was the only guy that was actually like affecting the game
Right.
outside of scoring. Because Clark and even scoring, Clarkson got a few offensive rebounds. It just
Right.
made zero sense.
And just the way that Mitch was owning the boards offensively, like those first 3 quarters, he was owning the offensive
And
boards. Cat
Town,
was doing
both of
great
them.
on the offensive boards. It's just to
It
fall
makes
apart
no
like that in the
sense why you're
fourth
just not like
quarter.
continuously attacking the rim.
Oh, on your home court, terrible,
Well, there's
terrible.
thankfully there's a lot more games in the series. We got Game 3 on Thursday in Atlanta, and they got to step it up. This is a must win
Oh, no question, no
in
question.
every sense. In every sense, it's a must win.
I mean, you're the better team. You have to impose your will on that floor, no matter where you're playing, whether it's at the Garden or whether it's in Atlanta. You've got to impose your will. You're a better team. You've got to take that guy, like Guy McCollum. You got to take him out of the. You got to take him out of his game. He was like, he was like just walking down the in the paint. How many shots did he make? Just like driving and going off the backboard.
And at the
You
end of the
know,
game, he's just like bobbing and weaving, hitting fadeaway corner.
uh,
Like, get out of here with that. He's a good player, but he's a really good player. But get
yes,
out of here with that. He should not be taking over at the end of the playoff game. I like.
no. Of all the people on that floor last night, you would be like fourth in line to be the guy, not on the Hawks, just in general.
Yeah.
To take over that fourth quarter. It was just, the Knicks have to show a lot better. The Knicks have to show a lot better in intensity, a lot more urgency in that game 3 matchup on Thursday night, or it's going to go south. And I don't want to be a doomsayer, but look, you watch a lot more Knicks basketball than I do, so I trust your judgment here. Do you think they come out and win Game 3 in a decisive way?
Can't tell you anything now. I mean, you have to. Like they just proved right now that this wasn't a reset. Like you went into the playoffs and it was just like, oh, like everyone's like clear our minds of the regular season. Let's just go to work. Playoffs is a new season. But you win the first game, you look great. Even though it got sloppy at times, you still it looked decisive enough. Like the Knicks are the better team, and you look that way through 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, just garbage can.
It was.
It's like the Nets came in and subbed in for the Knicks for the fourth quarter. We can't even.
It
I
was
can't even
rough.
talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's go on to some other big New York news. The Giants traded one of their star players and one of the best defensive players in football over the past few years, Dexter Lawrence, for the 10th overall pick in the NFL draft. Big move. I mean, how are we feeling about that?
Look, I thought that once he basically demanded a trade, like once he said, I want a new contract, or I want to be traded. Like that to me was like this guy's gone. To me, I felt like the Giants are in a place now with Harbaugh, being the guy that's going to get, you know, basically he's gonna run the franchise now. Shane to me, really hasn't done enough to, I mean, the last time he had 2 top 10 picks, he took, Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. So, I mean, this is not a guy with a tremendous track record of having great picks. So, I was shocked that they were able to get a first round pick, to be honest with you, based on the season that Sexy Dexy had last year. The guy is not in good shape. I know he's a great player, but he was banged up. I mean, again, the Giants are terrible. And a lot of people saying, oh, well, they were so bad against the run and losing him. Look, they have plenty of draft picks. Uh, they're going to have a lot more room under the cap now, making that deal. Um, and again, I don't know the exact numbers, but look, they have two top 10 picks. They got plenty of picks in this draft. Harbaugh is going to change everything. And obviously Dexter, didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be here. So the best possible scenario is they got a top 10 pick. Right. So I think it was a good move. And I think if you're a Giants fan and you're moaning and groaning, oh, what are we going to do? Then you just want to be miserable. I mean, you got your new guy. Your coach is going to hopefully take this team to another level. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but certainly when you look at some of the guys in this draft, it's a great spot, Jack. I mean, I know that there's been a lot of mock drafts, a lot of different guys being talked about. You got, Sonny Styles is a guy that they could take at number 5 overall, the linebacker out of Ohio State. I mean, he's a guy they could grab. I mean, what have you seen? What have you heard? Looking around, who you think the Giants are going to take with that number 5 pick?
Well, now getting that 10th pick just changed their entire draft
Right.
strategy, and now you got 5 and 10.
Yep.
You can really do whatever you want now, as far as positional. You don't really have to draft based off need. They got a few needs. You can kind of go best player available at that 5 spot. If Jeremiah Love falls, I don't think they hesitate. I think they just take him. I mean, Scotty was coming off of a leg injury. You don't know how he's going to look coming back. Tyrone Tracy's he's a good complimentary back, but he's not the number 1 guy. Jeremiah Love's generational. I mean, maybe they get uneasy about the whole Saquon situation, but Saquon was a good pick. Saquon was a really good player. He was a really good rookie. He's surrounded by garbage. You're never going to succeed with that. Now, I mean, the whole point you're saying is you bring in Harbaugh. He's supposed to surround this team with better players and a
Right.
better system. So you bring in the top tier player, the top tier running back, who could be the best player in the draft overall. He falls to that spot. I mean, you got to pull the trigger. He could be a complete game changer for the offense.
Well, I would love to see him, play for the Giants. We get, Notre Dame guy, we get to see him play every week. I would love to see it. But the experts don't think that the Giants are going to, do that again, but we'll see. I mean, I would love to see it. And again, the experts, in my estimation, I know you feel the same way, have not been so great, in assessing the talent in these drafts over the last few years, maybe even longer. Because they'll kill a guy on draft day, and then I remember when the Jets took Becton, and everybody loved the Becton pick, and killed the Giants for taking Andrew Thomas, and it was like, oh, he's a bust, he's a bust. Meanwhile, Andrew Thomas is a perennial All-Pro player when he's healthy, and Mekhi Becton is barely in the league. So the experts, again, I would love to see it. Getting a player of that caliber, one of the best running backs I've ever watched at Notre Dame. And certainly a class of running backs that are fantastic. He reminds me a little bit of Jerome Bettis, and obviously the great Hall of Fame running back, Notre Dame. Certainly with the Rams, with the Steelers. That could be a great pick. That could be a great pick. And I don't know if you saw the news, but your buddy there, Odell, was in the facility yesterday getting a physical. Will he be back with Big Blue?
I mean, that'll be kind of just. It's not like he's gonna make a major impact. I mean, it'd be a cool signing. That could be major money. It'll probably be $2-3 million, if that. So it'd be cool to see a little reunion for Odell in New York. But
Could they
I mean,
still take? You know what I'm saying? Could they still take a wide receiver with the 10 pick?
yeah. As far as that's not going to affect their draft at all. I see them drafting a receiver pretty early. I really like I just don't see them like as much as I want them to go all in on that offense. I don't see it with Harbaugh. Like as much as I want to see them take Love with 5 and at 10 take a receiver, it's not going to happen. There's too many good defensive players on the board, even just from Ohio State. You got the safety Caleb Downs, you got Sonny Styles, you got some great edge rushers in this draft, and even have some good old linemen. I could really
Right.
see them adding in the trenches maybe with that 10th pick. And now you need to like the interior D line is not good. You lose
Right.
Dexter Lawrence, one of the best, and that depth around it wasn't really good either. You're not going to address. There's really no guy to address that in the top of the draft, but in the middle of the draft, there's a lot of guys, and you
Uh,
have 8
yeah.
picks in this draft. So Harbaugh, I really expect him to go best talent available with that 5 and 10, and then throughout the draft, start addressing that depth, start addressing the interior D line, maybe some O line, because neither of the like nothing is really shored up outside of quarterback, and that's really it. And the edges are pretty solid for New York.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. Fox Sports, they have the Giants taking Caden McDonald, DT out of Ohio State. That would be a great pickup, for that interior depth. Certainly a guy that, certainly, I mean, but, who knows if he lasts that long. Look, you and I, we always talk about how to build a football team, right? I've always felt that you build it from the inside out. You build both lines of scrimmage, and then you add as you get better, because you got to be able to protect the quarterback and you got to be able to get to the quarterback. And those things happen in the trenches. That doesn't mean you have to use your top pick talent on interior linemen on other side of the ball, but you got to get good ones, and you got to build it, and you got to make sure that your quarterback, who had like 15,000 concussions last year, who likes to be a gunslinger, you got to protect that guy, and yes, you got to get him weapons, but you also have to make sure that you have the players and you have the depth on that offensive and defensive line to make sure that that you're addressing both sides of the ball. So you think that they have enough? You think Harbaugh is going to be able to point them in the right direction as far as how they're going to do that for this draft?
I mean, he needs to. Like, as much as I want to be like, yeah, I mean, he's been a great drafter in the past, but the Ravens just have a great front office. Like,
Yeah.
there are a ton of guys in that building that know what they're doing. He wasn't the only one, and it's not like they're gonna just all of a sudden be terrible over there now. But as far as like a good, like everyone likes to be like a good draft versus a bad draft, and they usually base it on like the first round pick or if they have how many top names you have. But a good draft is when like they have 8 picks. If they can get 4 to 5 viable NFL players, they don't have to be starters, just viable players, whether they're depth guys, whether they're a starter, whether they could even be a really good player. You need to hit on multiple picks. You need to hit on 4 or 5 at least, because it's always how it rounds out. It's always especially when you have this many picks, you need to be building on this young talent. You need to be adding good young talent every single year. You need to be adding the depth. And that's been the problem with the Giants for so long. They haven't had a good, solid draft from top to bottom. And I couldn't tell you how long.
No, I agree. And the other team that needs to have a really good draft are the New York Jets. Again, with the number 2 pick. The last time they had the number 2 pick, they took Zach Wilson. You and I both love the guy, but didn't work out for number 2, right? So the Jets now have the number 2 pick again. They cannot miss on this pick. They have to make sure that they get the right guy, and they have a ton of picks in this draft. Some people would say, well, they've had this many picks before and they haven't really addressed, a lot of their needs. Do you think they're gonna keep the number 2 pick? Are they gonna trade down, or are they gonna get a guy like Arvell Reese from Ohio State at number 2? Or are they gonna are they going to trade and trade it down and get multiple picks? Where do you think they're going to go with that number 2 pick?
I mean, I don't see them trading him. Like you basically have the full board at your disposal because we've known for months that Mendoza's going one, so they've had all this time to scout basically every single player possible for that number 2 pick. And I have a feeling that they're gonna take Reese. I mean, he's the kind of guy that like I think the Falcons succeeding with Jalen Walker last year is really gonna sell them because Walker was kind of that guy who could play off ball linebacker and he could play on the edge, and he didn't really know where you were gonna play him. And the Falcons moved him to edge and they filled him out and he looked good on the edge. So I think the Jets are gonna look at that and they're gonna be like, all right, we're going to draft Arvell Reese as an edge. We're going to make him a pure edge, and he's going to be an all pro. That's the best case scenario situation. That's what you hope for. But you have to take a swing like that rather than like Zach Wilson. Like you can't. Like, they were so invested on like that one throw he made in the combine, the the Aaron Rodgers comparison. Oh, we like the kid. Oh, we love like it was just such a like media pick almost. Like he played at BYU. He never beat anyone good. He never really like he had one good season. And it was a really good season, but it was like, are we really taking him at number 2 after we just took a quarterback top 5 and it didn't work out? The Jets seem to make like the worst decision possible and the dumbest decision possible every year. So hopefully they can finally just be somewhat smart and just take the best player available at number 2 and at number 16 because this team needs the young talent. If you can swing a trade and somehow end up with multiple firsts like they've had in some of these trades, like the Sauce trade, end up with multiple firsts. They've traded out of the first round and ended up with first round picks. So we'll see. But I think you have to take best player available.
Do you think there's any chance, like Fox Sports projects that the Jets could take Carnell Tate out of Ohio State with the number 2 pick? Do you think that's possible for them?
I see it's a lot more likely that they trade up with that 16 pick. He's not as good as he is, he might not even be the best receiver on the board. I just don't see them taking him at 2. Like it's just he's not that tier of receiver. I could see him going from like 8 to 15, maybe even outside of the top 5, but not the top 3. Like the top 3 is usually edge rusher, elite offensive tackle, quarterback. We'll see the random elite running back. Like it's too risky to take a receiver like that when he doesn't have the 6'4", 6'5" frame running
Right.
the 4.2. Like he's just not the athletic. Like he's had his production. He's been a great receiver at Ohio State. And I think he's going to be a really good NFL receiver. But to take him at number 2 is a little same thing with like people think that Ty Simpson could go at 16. I just you can trade, especially that the Jets have the first pick in the second round. They can trade up with that pick to get back into the first round and
Right.
get Simpson. I
Right.
just
Right. Well, look, I think that this Jets GM, certainly is a guy that uh, you know seems like he has a plan. Joe Douglas, had some successes, got 2 first round picks for Jamal Adams and, got some picks, got 2 picks for, who's the guy who just won the Super Bowl?
Donald.
Sam Darnold. Thank you. So I mean, look, I know a lot of Jet fans. You know a lot of Jet fans. I hope for those Jet fans that they have a great draft, that they finally start to get out of their own way. Aaron Glenn, not great with the media, says a lot of dumb things, but I do respect his, football mentality. I do respect the fact that, he's a guy that played in New York, that understands what it takes to win. He's a Parcells guy. I'm hoping for the Jet fans that they turn this thing around. And I look at the Giants and the Jets. I think the Giants are in better shape to get better in a maybe more quickly. But I'm really hoping that the Jets organization figures it out this time around.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think I think for the future the Giants look better, but I don't think any team's gonna be really doing much of anything this year. It's
No,
gonna be
they're
another
not. They're
year.
not. But I like Jackson Dart better than I like Geno Smith.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The Jets, everybody's a quarterback away. They like I don't know. I think that both teams are gonna be garbage.
So we'll be talking about them next year with all the picks that they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
in the top 10. All
Not that
right,
the
buddy.
Falcons are much better, but one
Well,
can hope.
I mean, nobody cares about our Falcons on this show. So
Unless they're gonna make fun of them.
we'll have it. Yeah. Well, we'll have a Falcons only show.
Yeah.
We'll do an Atlanta sports machine for those clowns, but not while the Knicks are playing Atlanta. I don't want to hear any of that talk. All right, brother. I will see you. I love you. And
This has been another great episode of the Gotham Sports Machine. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. You subscribe on YouTube, and we're gonna drop an episode every week.
yep.
Tune
And
in.
we're on Apple. We're on Apple Podcasts now too. See
Yeah,
that?
everywhere.
Yeah, the Gotham Sports Machine. You're doing a great job, kid. Love you.
I love you. We'll
See you
see you
guys
next
next
week.
week.